Hi everybody and welcome back to my kitchen. You know, there are some days that I just really have a taste for roast chicken. Now, most people don't think about roast chicken as being part of Mexican cuisine. I mean, unless you think about all of those places that do the rotisserie chickens, you can find them in all the cities. There's the roadside stalls that will do the butterflied chickens that they do over charcoal. Then not exactly roast chicken. Roast chicken really comes more from the European tradition, but that doesn't mean that you can't make one that could satisfy your love for both roast chicken and Mexican flavors. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And I will tell you, I don't ever roast a chicken whole. I always butterfly it, or what's called spatchcocking it. And I'm just going to show you how easy that is to do, because I know a lot of you probably are afraid to do this. You will need either a sharp knife or a pair of kitchen shears. I will tell you, I use my kitchen shears for all kinds of things. So if you don't have any kitchen shears, this might go on your holiday wish list, okay? So the first thing that we have to do is talk about what kind of chicken that you want to get, and the better the chicken, the more flavorful it will be. This is one that's about 4.5 pounds. That's a good roasting size chicken. And this one is a free range one that's fed on organic feed. It's about as good as you could possibly get. And I will tell you, the flavor of it is really different than what you would find in most grocery store chickens, okay? Now, what we're going to do to spatchcock it or to butterfly it is to remove this part of it here. We want to cut out the backbone of it. So I always start with it standing on the neck end like this, so I can hold it. And then using my kitchen shears, I'm just going to go down both sides of the backbone here and cut through the small bones that are holding it in there. And I'm only going to go about halfway down. Okay, you can see what that looks like there. And then I'm going to go over to the other side and do exactly the same thing. Just cut down that side until I'm about halfway through. Because once you get about halfway through, as I've shown you there, you can actually just break it open like that. And then you can cut this piece of it off, and that will be out of your way. I don't try to usually do the whole thing in one fell swoop, okay? So that last little piece there, got that out, and we're going to set that over. Now, the second part of it you can do with the shears. We're moving into the rib bones here, or you could pick up your knife and just go into it like this, because you have something easier to see and to hold on to. And of course, you'll need a large knife to do this, but lots of people just feel comfortable doing this with the kitchen shears as well. But so I am reseat it there, and then just go down this side of it, all the way down here to the neck end of it. And then I can actually use my hands to just open it up like this. And I'm grabbing it and just turn it like that. Okay, so now I have broken it free. My shears can just come in here and cut the skin, the last bit of skin off. And then we have the backbone out. That's the hard part of it. The next part of it is just using your body weight here to flatten it like that. And you should hear this little crunch when you do that, which means that you are loosening the sternum. Now, what do I mean by the sternum here? Let's go in here and look. Okay, so this part right here is the sternum, and right below the sternum there is cartilage here. If this was a smaller bird, I would have broken this completely free, and I would reach in there and just pull it out and pull the cartilage out, and then it would make for really even and easy carving at the table, okay, which is what I always try to make sure that everybody has. But I'm going to show you how to carve and make a pretty presentation on a platter as well. Okay, so there we are with the spatchcocked chicken. With the big ones like this, I don't try to go in there and take the sternum and the cartilage out or anything like that. But at this point, I'm going to go in and make this really beautiful little flavoring mixture that we're going to put under the skin for roasting. But give me just a second to go wash my hands. All right. Now, the flavorings that we're going to use here are going to be lime and garlic and some chile de árbol, or if you have just chili flakes, you could use that in this. But I am using a zester here to take off all of the colored part of the rind, what's called the zest of the citrus, and I'm using lime for this. Of course, that's my choice for this particular Mexican flavor, but that doesn't mean you can't use lemon for something like this, or even orange zest would be delicious here, but I'm working with a large lime, and I am just taking all the zest of it off. Okay, so now I've gotten roughly everything off of that. Set that aside. We've got chile de árbol, which is this sort of wrinkle-skinned little workhorse of the Mexican kitchen. It's used mostly for heat, not so much for flavor, though it does have a gentle nuttiness to it. And I'm going to chop that up. Now, if you had one of those little tiny food processors, you could just put these into the food processor and let it chop for you. And when you see what I do with the garlic next, you'll say, I think maybe I need to invest in one of those little tiny food processors. This is not enough quantity for my regular food processor, so I have to do this part of it by hand. So I'm making this look like chili flakes. So when I said to you, yeah, could be substituted with those chili flakes, you can see why right now. Okay, so you can see that we've got the chilies all chopped up there, and now we're going to do the 6 cloves of garlic here, and I'm just going to slice them first and then chop them in with the chilies and the zest of the lime. Now we'll scrape all of this stuff together, and then just using that standard rock and chop, I'm going to just put the whole thing together. This is where all the flavors kind of get mingled together, so you just rock and chop across your mixture back and forth. All right, we've got very finely chopped flavoring mixture, and I am going to take out about a tablespoon of it. Separate that out. That's going to flavor a brothy sauce that we're going to serve with this. So now let's go back and work on the chicken. Okay, so you might wonder, why did I go to all that work to spatchcock it? And why don't I just do the whole roast chicken? Because whole roast chickens never cook evenly. The breast will always be done before the thighs are done, and so you have an uneven, usually what people do is overcook the breast because it's the first thing that's done, okay? When you're working with a spatchcocked chicken like this, you will find that it all cooks at the same time. It also is just so much easier to work with once you get it finished and you're carving it up, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, next step here is I'm going to loosen the skin. I usually start with the breast on this end of it down here, and I just take my hand and go in between the flesh and the skin, working my fingers deep in here, freeing the skin from the flesh all the way down as far as I can reach toward the tapering end of the breast, and then coming over toward the wing. Now I'm doing this gently so that I don't rip the skin at all here. Okay, so that's very freed there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the second side of the breast. Just opening it up like that. I usually work with 2 fingers because it means that I probably won't rip the skin. If I try to put more fingers in there, then it tends to rip. Okay, so just freeing it up, and as far as I can reach toward the taper end, that's there. Now, the next part is to free the skin here on the thigh, and I always go in right here at the thigh bone here, and the first reach in, just to sort of like loosen it there, little tiny rip in the skin there. I want to have as little of that as possible. And then again, using the 2 fingers, I'm going to free up the skin there, but I'm working really hard not to rip that skin anymore. On that side, again, going in over here on the thigh side and freeing the skin just a little bit, and then running my fingers in here and freeing down toward the leg. And now we're going to take this flavoring mixture here, and in the pockets that we've made, we're going to put a portion of this mixture in here and just work it all the way down. You'll be amazed at what this tastes like. We're going to let this sit overnight. To dry brine is what I'm going to call it. We're going to salt it and let it sit. And in that overnight sit, these flavors are just going to permeate and perfume the flesh of this beautiful, beautiful roasting chicken. Okay, now I'm going to turn this guy around so that we can take the last bits of it here and go into the thigh and leg area. So I'm going to just put it in like that and then use 2 fingers to push it all the way down in there. Okay. We're getting close to done here. I need to rinse my hands off, and then I'm going to show you how we go to the salting part of it. Now, most of you think of brine as water and salt, and it makes the chicken really juicy. I'm not using that here because it also takes away crispness from the skin. Instead, I'm just sprinkling with salt, what they call a dry brine, and it makes the skin absolutely perfect while ensuring juiciness in the chicken. Now back to the recipe. Okay, you have to remember that I am using diamond crystal salt. It has double the volume of your regular table salt. So if you're using diamond crystal like I am, you will take 1 tablespoon of this salt and you will evenly sprinkle it over the chicken. On the inside, I will start with the inside first here. Now it looks like awful amounts of salt, that this is going to come out really salty. It will not. Flip it over and then another tablespoon of salt. If you're using regular table salt, you will be using 1 tablespoon divided by into the front and the back. Now what happens is that the salt will be absorbed into all of this meat and it will season it so that when you finish roasting this chicken, it will be seasoned all the way through. You won't have to put any more salt on the top of it. Last thing here, before we put this guy away, I have a rimmed baking sheet. I covered it with foil because it just makes it so much easier for the cleanup. You don't have to do that, but you will have some scrubbing going on here. But I take the salted bird and lay it on a rack over this foil-lined rimmed baking sheet. And then I put it into the refrigerator. I do this the day before, and I let it sit for 24 hours to do a dry brine. So I will show you what it looks like in 24 hours. Okay, this is what it looks like after 24 hours uncovered in the refrigerator. The skin has darkened a little bit and it's quite dry looking. That will ensure crispy skin on the chicken. You can see the little bits of chili flake all over it. That's not only looks beautiful, but I will say that it will add extra flavor to the skin. Now, I've got my oven heated to 450 degrees, and I'm going to just drizzle the skin here with a little bit of oil, and just so that I make sure that it's evenly distributed here, I'm going to use a brush to go all over it. You could use your hands if you would like to, just to massage the skin with the oil. That looks completely covered now, and both for flavor and for beauty, I like to put a lot of black pepper over the top of it. Okay. Just like that. All right. Now we're ready to put it into the oven to roast. I'm going to set a timer for about 45 minutes. If your chicken is smaller than this one, you're going to want to shave off a bit of that time there. Now my oven rack is in the middle of the oven, and that's going to go into that really hot oven and roast for 45 minutes before we check it. Now I've got this pot here with 3 cups of chicken broth in it, and I'm setting it over medium-high fire because I want to bring it to a boil. This is some really lovely homemade chicken broth, but you can easily do this with some good quality canned chicken broth, or the kinds that come in the UHT packages. And remember that we saved out about a tablespoon of the flavoring mix with the chili and the garlic and the lime zest, and I'm going to scrape that into this pot. Once this comes to a rolling boil, then I'm going to turn it down to a brisk simmer and let it reduce by half. Then we'll season it at the very end, enrich it with just a little bit of butter and a dash of Worcestershire sauce, and we're going to have this stunningly delicious brothy sauce to go with our roast chicken. So this is a total now of this 4.5 pound chicken of almost 55 minutes. At 45, I got out my handy dandy instant read thermometer and checked it, but it wasn't quite there. At the very, very thickest part here, I want to see that it is about 150 degrees. This is registering right now 147 there. That will be perfect for that. And then I want to kind of go in here at the thickest part of the thigh and see about 170. This is reading 167. That should be, I'd rather be a couple degrees under than over. So I've checked it several times after that 45-minute time, that initial roasting, but just look how gorgeous that is. It is the perfect roast chicken with really gorgeous crispy skin. Now here's the thing, you have to let it rest. You don't want to take it right out and start carving it. You want to let it rest. I suggest 5 to 10 minutes, no less than 5. 10's probably better. But if you want to roast it and hold it for, say, 20 minutes, that's fine. Just take a piece of foil and just kind of lay it gently over. You don't want to steam it. You just want to capture a little bit of the heat that's there. Now, I've got my reduced broth over here. I want to see what it tastes like. Okay, so this was a salted broth. A lightly salted broth, but now it's a fully salted broth. And I'm going to turn the temperature under it up a little bit. And I'm going to whisk in some butter. 3 tablespoons is what I like to put in this. So I'm going to get it in there and then keep whisking on it. And then just to boost the savoriness of this, boost the umami, just about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, not too much. And that will give you that extra boost of savoriness. Again, the better the stock for this, the more delicious it's going to be. So in about 5 to 10 minutes, I'll meet you back here and I'll show you how to carve this beauty. Okay, here's the carving tutorial. So I'm going to pick this gently up. I don't want to bust the skin or anything, and transfer it over here. And then what I want to do is to go not straight down the middle, because then I'm going to hit that sternum. So I'm going to go just a little bit to one side of that sternum there, and then go all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Now at the top here, I'm going to have to like lean into it and cut through, but it's not a hard thing. Okay. So right there. And then I'm going to take the leg and thigh portions off. So you kind of go around the leg like that, and it should come off pretty pretty simply. You can just kind of bend it back and look at that. Okay. Now, what I like to do with the leg and thigh is to go down in here between the leg and thigh joint like that. We will start with putting the leg right here. And then I like to cut the thigh into two portions so that everybody can have small pieces of different parts of it. You can do as you choose. You could do what I'm doing. So it's right down beside the thigh bone. So I'll put that one there and that one there, and then this little one here. And then with the breast, what I like to do is cut the wing bone off, but cut a little bit of the breast meat with it so that it's a nice portion. So I'll go back down through those little bones that are at the bottom, the rib bones there, and we'll put that over there. And then I'll cut this portion into two, like that. Again, just going down into it. And then I'm going to just kind of reassemble all of this here. Okay. Now, all the same stuff on the other side. Okay, now we have it sort of reassembled there. And the last thing that we have to do is talk about this sauce here, which has got the butter in it and the little dash of Worcestershire sauce there. It's ready to go. You could actually make that ahead of time if you want to and just reheat it because there's a lot of last minute things here. Because this is a Mexican flavored roast chicken, I'm going to suggest that you put a whole bunch of lime wedges here so that people could sprinkle that over your finished roast chicken. And what I'm going to do here is to take this really beautiful and flavorful sauce, and I'm going to just pour it over. You might want to put this into a sauce boat or a pitcher so that everybody, as they take their pieces, can then come get a little bit of the broth. But I just wanted to show you what this looks like if you choose to pour this gorgeous sauce over the top of it. I will say there you've got, I'm going to flip that guy over there. You've got a really beautiful roast chicken, easy to do, perfect to execute, and with gorgeous Mexican flavors. I hope you'll tackle doing this spatchcocked roast chicken with Mexican flavors.